Hey everybody, this week we're going to be learning about Jane Goodall. I think I told you about that on the last one that we were going to talk about. Jane Goodall, she is one of my heroes because she cares for the planet and wants this planet to be a good place to live, and she especially loves chimpanzees. She studied them since she was really young, since she was 26 years old, and because of that she realized that their habitat was being destroyed. So that's part of taking care of the planet. People were chopping it down and burning it down and bulldozing it down to make places for farms and crops. And meanwhile, they didn't realize the importance of the rainforest. Remember, one of the most important things it gives us is oxygen, which everything needs. Plants, animals, fish, birds, everything needs oxygen to stay alive. So trees and all the rainforest vegetation is very important for that. So Jane, the chimpanzees, live in the Gombe forest, which is a rainforest. It's in the along the equator, and that's in Africa. And she has loved animals since she was little. So I am going to read you this book called Me, Jane today. And then we'll talk in our next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about Jane. But today I'm just going to read this book to you, and we'll see how it goes. Please excuse the page turning. It may be a little clumsy. All right? Thank you. Here we go. Okay. Me, Jane by Patrick McDonnell. Isn't she cute? This is a real picture of her when she's little. Her dad gave her that chimpanzee stuffed animal when she was a year and a half. She still has it today, and she named it Jubilee. But you'll find out. You'll find that out in the book. Jane had a stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. Oh, see, I'm being clumsy. She cherished Jubilee and took him everywhere she went, and Jane loved to be outside. She watched the birds making their nests, spiders spinning their webs, and squirrels chasing one another up and down trees. I bet you guys have seen things like that in your own backyards. If you're wondering what I'm doing behind her, I've got two books, so I'm turning 2 pages. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Jane learned all that she could about the animals and plants she studied in her backyard and read about in books. And you see how she's looking at those shells and she's painting? She's got a little watercolor set there, and she's got ink. And I know I've talked to you a lot about how artists will look at something to draw it, and that's what Jane is doing in this picture. Here are some more of her pictures. She would just sit down and draw things that she saw in nature, or she would look at a book and she would just draw them because she was so interested. She just wanted to learn everything about them. Oh, this is a great part. One day, curious Jane wondered where eggs came from. So she and Jubilee snuck into Grandma Nut's chicken coop. See this straw? She's going to hide in that straw. Oh, well, I guess they showed it in this picture. She hid behind some straw and stayed very still, because you will learn that you need to be very patient and still when you're watching animals, because they could get spooked. They don't like to be watched. Now your cat, your dog might not care so much because they're used to you, but animals in the wild get spooked by human beings. And observed the miracle. So see how she got to see the egg being hatched? Now I'll tell you, while she was in here, her parents couldn't find her, and they looked around for her for a couple of hours because she was being very patient, and they were getting really worried. And then they found, she came running out covered in straw to her mom and said, "Mom, Mom, I finally know how the eggs come out of the chicken. And her mommy was super sweet. She didn't yell at her. She said, tell me all about it, Jane. Jane had a really great mama. It was a magical world full of joy and wonder, and Jane felt very much a part of it. Have you guys ever laid on your backs and just looked up into the clouds and imagined the shapes that the clouds make? It's kind of a fun thing to do, and it's also fun to take your shoes off and just walk in the grass and feel the earth beneath your feet. It's really a wonderful feeling. Jane often climbed her favorite tree, which she named Beech. And actually, the kind of tree was a beech tree. She would lay her cheek against its trunk and seem to feel the sap flowing beneath the bark. Maybe you guys could try that. If you have a tree in your yard, put your cheek up against it and see if you can feel the sap flowing, because all trees have that sap that flows through and gives them their nutrition. Okay, I'm having trouble with this one. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, I gotta put this book down. It's not cooperating. Jane could feel her own heart beating, beating, beating. Do you see where she's putting her hand? If you put your hand on the right side of your chest up here and are very quiet, you can feel your heart beating. It lets you know that you're alive, right? When your heart's beating. And the sap in a tree is kind of its heart's beating. With the wind in her hair, she read and reread the books about Tarzan of the Apes, in which another girl, also named Jane, lived in the jungles of Africa. She loved to hear the story of Tarzan swinging on the vines in the rainforest. Jane dreamed of a life in Africa too. So see, now she's at her house, but she's imagining that she's in the rainforest. And look, it's Africa. So you do see giraffes and lions and elephants in Africa. And a very hot sun, because Africa is very hot. A life living with and helping all animals. Look at her swinging through the trees with her friend Jubilee. And there's a little chimpanzee right there. At night, Jane would tuck Jubilee into bed, say her prayers, and fall asleep. Jubilee's so cute. Look at how he's smiling in that picture. Did she get older? To awake one day, and I don't know if you noticed it changed. She's staying in a tent, and the trees outside her cabin or her tent are in the Gombe forest. To her dream come true. And there's the real picture of Jane, and she is touching fingers with this little baby monkey. It might be named Gremlin or Glitter, I can't remember, but this is a very famous photograph of Jane Goodall, one of the first encounters with real chimpanzees. So there you have it. That's the first story we're going to hear about Jane Goodall. If I have time, I might read The Watcher, but these are great books to check out from the library. The Watcher is by Jeanette Winter, and you can also look for this on YouTube. There is a woman that reads it. She does an okay job, but I couldn't attach it to my YouTube channel. But this is also a really good story, and it kind of goes more into depth about how Jane had to travel with her mom because she was 26 and a young lady, and in those days, which was, I think she's 84 now, so that was many years ago, she had to be accompanied by her mom because she was a single young lady. And the other thing is she discovered that chimpanzees use tools. They would take a a stick and strip it of its leaves and stick it into a termite hill and pull it out, and there would be termites attached to it, and they would eat the termites. So it was a big discovery, but since she was a woman, a lot of people didn't believe her. Also, she wasn't a scientist, so people didn't believe her. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the story. Me, Jane, by Patrick McDonnell. Until tomorrow, goodbye.